Russia claims it captured 2 Ukrainian settlements just after the CIA chief's Moscow visit. Putin claims a major battlefield gain as Russia advances in Ukraine following the CIA chief's trip. Russia says Ukraine lost 2 settlements and more than 1,400 troops in just 24 hours. A former Ukrainian defense minister's warning about a slowly losing war is back in focus after Russia's latest claims. Russia said on August 26 that its forces captured 2 Ukrainian settlements during the preceding 24 hours. Russia's Battle Group North reportedly took control of Pisarevka in Ukraine's Sumy region, according to TASS. TASS reported that Russia's Battle Group East captured Nezhenka in the Zaporizhia region. Russia claimed Ukrainian forces lost around 1,405 troops across the front line in a single day. The reported Russian advance came shortly after CIA Director John Ratcliffe visited Moscow. Russia's defense ministry claimed around 240 Ukrainian troops were killed in the Battle Group North area. The ministry claimed around 210 Ukrainian troops were killed in the Battle Group West area. Battle Group South reportedly claimed more than 215 Ukrainian troops were killed. Battle Group Center claimed more than 365 Ukrainian troops were killed. Battle Group East claimed more than 345 Ukrainian troops were killed. Battle Group Dnepr claimed around 30 Ukrainian troops were killed. Russia also claimed Ukrainian forces lost a tank and 14 vehicles in the northern sector. Russia reported destroying 2 US-made armored vehicles in the western sector. Russia's Battle Group South claimed that 4 Ukrainian field artillery guns were destroyed. Battle Group Dnepr also claimed to have destroyed a Ukrainian howitzer. Russia's defense ministry claimed 798 Ukrainian drones were intercepted. The ministry also claimed 12 guided aerial bombs were shot down. Russia said 1 HIMARS rocket was intercepted. The ministry further claimed 3 Flamingo cruise missiles were downed. Russia claimed that more than 220,000 Ukrainian drones have been destroyed since the start of the war in 2022. Moscow also claimed that more than 30,700 tanks and armored vehicles have been destroyed since the war began. Trump's first remarks on Ratcliffe's Russia trip as the Kremlin denies a meeting with Putin, raising fresh questions. Why was Trump's spy chief in Moscow? The US president finally speaks as questions grow over the secretive visit. Iran war, Russia-UK tensions. What did Ratcliffe discuss in Russia, as Moscow becomes a key diplomatic destination? Trump bears all on why the CIA sent its chief to Moscow secretly, as speculation swirls over the mission. Putin brutally rejects Trump's olive branch? Ratcliffe returns empty, as the Kremlin refuses to confirm a meeting. US President Donald Trump has finally addressed CIA Chief John Ratcliffe's visit to Moscow on August 25, amid growing speculation over the secretive trip. The US President spoke to the New York Post about why John Ratcliffe made the surprise visit to Moscow and what it was meant to achieve. Trump was asked whether Ratcliffe's visit was linked to ongoing Russia-UK tensions or whether the CIA chief discussed Iran-related issues. Trump hinted that Ratcliffe's Moscow visit instead revolved around efforts to reach a peace deal and end the Russia-Ukraine war. The US president said, and I quote, "Well, none of the above. He's there, on very sort of semi-routine. I hate to disappoint people. We would like to see the war with Ukraine end. That's a war that would have never started. If I were president, you wouldn't have had the war with Ukraine, and you wouldn't have had 25 million people coming into our country like they did. Just come in like we were a bunch of fools. It was so sad. John Ratcliffe is a fantastic guy. He's the head of the CIA, and he is not in there for any of the things that you said. Now something may come out, out of it. We're working very hard to get that war ended, and frankly, they both want to see it ended at this point." End quote. On August 25, CIA Director John Ratcliffe made a surprise visit to Moscow to meet with Russian intelligence officials, according to reports. Ratcliffe's visit marks the first known trip by a CIA chief since 2021, before the Russia-Ukraine war began and tensions dramatically escalated. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, on August 26, confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin did not meet with Ratcliffe during the visit.
Has Putin already been briefed on the outcome of the meeting with the CIA head John Ratcliffe? Were the results positive? Could you clarify what level of contact this involved? That is, did our SVR head, the FSB head, take part in the meetings?
All I can tell you is that there were contacts through the security services. I can tell you that there were no meetings with the Russian president. And that is all I can say on this matter. Of course, President Putin is briefed on everything immediately. Contacts through the special services are a positive development, a positive process. These contacts often continue even during the most difficult periods in bilateral relations. Our president also spoke about this. However, it is still too early to say to what extent this will affect the overall process of bringing our bilateral relations out of the deepest crisis in which they currently find themselves. Ratcliffe had no contacts with the Kremlin. I cannot tell you at this stage whether any further arrangements regarding contacts have been made. I cannot comment on matters concerning other agencies. As far as the Kremlin is concerned, no contacts are planned so far. It is beyond doubt that Ukraine is losing the conflict. The situation on the front lines clearly demonstrates this. That is the first point. It is also beyond doubt and equally obvious that former participants in the corruption scheme, having left office, are now beginning to denounce their former partners in corruption. Political, or, I would say, quasi-political, turmoil is taking place within the Kiev regime, and it is intensifying. The Kiev regime is crumbling from within. It is losing the stability that has always left much to be desired. And the fact that Europeans do not want to notice this is a grave mistake on their part.
Switzerland has acknowledged that there are no grounds for the release of frozen Russian assets. Could you please tell us whether the Kremlin sees any signs that Europeans are returning to the Russian interpretation of international law, and whether Switzerland's position could be the first step towards the unfreezing of our assets? You've sound.
Who acknowledged it? I just don't have that information. Who exactly did it?
It was the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs.
Here, we need to. To be honest, I'm not familiar with this decision or this statement, so I can't tell you anything.
Reports describe the trip as Ratcliffe's first publicly known official visit to Russia since taking charge of the CIA. Ratcliffe has maintained contact with Sergei Naryshkin, the head of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, or SVR. Naryshkin had earlier indicated that he was willing to meet Ratcliffe as contacts continued between the two intelligence services. Peskov said Ratcliffe's Moscow visit involved contacts between Russian and American security services. Ukraine was reportedly informed in advance that a US delegation would travel to Russia for talks. However, Kiev was reportedly not initially told that CIA Director John Ratcliffe will be part of the visiting American delegation. The United States reportedly asked Ukraine not to launch strikes on Moscow or St. Petersburg during Ratcliffe's visit. US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were also expected to visit Ukraine this week, but their planned trip was postponed. A source denied earlier reports suggesting that intensified Russian attacks on Ukraine had caused the delay in the visit. The developments come as Washington and Moscow increasingly pursue direct bilateral contacts despite the continuing deadlock in peace negotiations.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.